You people always cause problems, the flight attendant smirks, tossing the fragments toward Martha. No flight for you today. A black woman's passport rips in half. The white flight attendant's fingers grip the edges, her smile sharp as a blade. Martha Walker stands frozen at the check-in counter, her phone recording the unthinkable. The torn document, her only identification in a foreign country, lies scattered across the counter. Martha's voice remains steady despite her trembling hands. Do you know what you've just done? I have a right to travel like anyone else. The flight attendant laughs, pressing her security call button. She's being aggressive. Typical. Little does this flight attendant know, she just destroyed the passport of someone who could end her entire career with a single phone call. Martha Walker adjusts her tailored blazer as she enters Frankfurt International Airport. At 42, she carries herself with the quiet confidence that comes from a decade of closing international business deals. Today should be triumphant. She's secured a partnership worth millions. But exhaustion tugs at her shoulders after a week of negotiations. The terminal bustles with morning travelers. Martha navigates toward the first-class check-in, her designer luggage trailing behind her. Her mind already races ahead to New York, to her office, to the presentation she'll deliver to the board. Flight attendant Anna Weber stands at the priority check-in counter. At 38, she's developed certain instincts during her career, or so she tells herself. Her eyes narrow as Martha approaches the first-class line. Anna nudges her colleague, Lisa. Another one with a priority pass they probably shouldn't have, Anna whispers, not bothering to lower her voice completely. Lisa shifts uncomfortably. Let's just process everyone quickly. The flight's nearly full. Anna ignores her. She straightens her uniform and plasters on a customer service smile that doesn't reach her eyes. Martha places her passport and first-class ticket on the counter. Anna's fingers hesitate before picking them up, as if reluctant to touch something Martha has handled. First class? Anna questions, examining Martha's ticket far longer than necessary. Are you sure you're in the right line? Martha meets her gaze directly. Yes, I'm a platinum member, flying first class to New York. Anna scrutinizes Martha's passport page by page, comparing the photo to Martha's face multiple times. Business trip? The question comes with a hint of disbelief. Yes, closing a deal with Heimler Technologies. Behind Martha, a line forms. Other passengers receive cursory document checks while Anna continues her inspection of Martha's passport. There's something suspicious about this, Anna mutters, loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. She types something into her computer, her acrylic nails clicking aggressively against the keyboard. Martha maintains her composure, though her jaw tightens. She's experienced this before. The extra scrutiny, the doubting eyes, the implicit accusation that she doesn't belong in premium spaces. Finally, Anna reluctantly prints Martha's boarding pass. Gate 42, boarding in 90 minutes. She marks something on the pass with a red pen before handing it over. Martha notices the SECCK notation as she walks away. As Martha disappears into the terminal, Anna reaches for the phone, her eyes narrowed, requesting a special security check for a suspicious passenger in first class. Martha passes through the main security checkpoint without issue. She purchases a bottle of water and checks her messages before heading to Gate 42. The boarding area already fills with passengers for the transatlantic flight. Martha settles into a seat, reviewing presentation notes on her tablet. Passenger Walker, please approach the gate desk. Martha looks up. Two security officers stand beside Anna, who points directly at her. Other passengers turn to stare. What's this about? Martha asks, approaching the desk with measured steps. Random security check, one officer explains, though his apologetic glance suggests otherwise. Anna stands with arms crossed, watching as the officers lead Martha to a side area. They begin searching her carry-on, emptying its contents across the table. I'd prefer a private screening, Martha requests quietly. This is standard procedure, Anna interjects before the officer can respond. Unless you have something to hide. Martha's expensive laptop, confidential contracts, and personal items lay exposed to everyone's view. She maintains a neutral expression despite the humiliation burning in her chest. When the search reveals nothing suspicious, Anna steps forward. There's still an issue with her documentation. I need to see her passport again. Martha hands over her passport, which Anna examines with theatrical suspicion. You visited 12 countries in the past year? Anna's voice rises deliberately. That's highly unusual. I'm a business executive. International travel is part of my job. Anna scrolls through her tablet. I need to verify these entry stamps. Some look questionable. Meanwhile, a white businessman approaches the counter. The second gate agent processes his identical international passport in seconds. Martha observes this discrepancy. Excuse me, why am I being delayed while others are processed immediately? Anna's face hardens. I'm just doing my job thoroughly. You're being difficult. Then I'd like to speak with your supervisor. Anna's cheeks flush. All supervisors are busy with pre-flight preparations. If you insist on escalating this, you'll likely miss your flight altogether. Nearby passengers shift uncomfortably. A few begin recording discreetly on their phones. Martha checks her watch. 40 minutes until boarding. She can't afford to miss this flight, but Anna's treatment crosses every professional boundary. I'm not questioning your job, Martha says calmly. I'm questioning why I'm receiving different treatment than other passengers. Anna's smile turns cold. She taps her nameplate. I've been with this airline for 15 years. Trust me, I know a problem when I see one. Perhaps you'd like to explain why your passport shows so many international entries? Anna asks loudly enough for nearby passengers to hear. It's rather unusual for someone like you, isn't it? Anna shifts Martha's documentation check to the center of the waiting area. She speaks louder now, ensuring other passengers hear every word. So, you claim you're traveling for business? Anna's voice drips with skepticism. She positions herself to block Martha's path to the boarding gate. What exactly does someone like you do that requires so much international travel? Martha stands straight, her expression composed despite the public spectacle Anna orchestrates. I'm an executive returning from business meetings with European partners. Anna laughs, a sharp, dismissive sound. An executive? Really? Her eyebrows rise in exaggerated disbelief. Let me see your business cards then. Martha removes a sleek card case from her jacket pocket and presents her card. Anna snatches it, examining the embossed logo and Martha's title, Global Operations Director. These are easily faked, you know, Anna declares, waving the card where others can see. Anyone can print fancy titles these days. A small crowd forms at a distance, uncomfortable yet unable to look away. An elderly couple exchanges whispers. A businessman frowns at the scene. My credentials are legitimate, as is my passport, Martha states firmly. I've cooperated fully with your questions. Anna's expression hardens. If you're really who you claim to be, you won't mind showing me what's on your laptop. Executives have presentations, emails, proof of their business activities. Martha's eyes narrow slightly. That contains confidential company information. I'm not authorized to show proprietary documents to airline personnel. Convenient excuse, Anna smirks. Or perhaps there's nothing to show? She turns to address the gathering observers. This is what happens when we don't properly verify who's coming into our country. People claiming to be what they're not. Martha notices phones recording now. The humiliation burns, but she keeps her voice level. I've shown you valid identification and answered your questions. Either process my boarding or get me someone who will. Anna's face flushes with anger at the challenge. She holds Martha's passport up to the light dramatically. This binding looks tampered with. See this slight separation here? Classic sign of document forgery. Before Martha can respond, Anna grips the passport firmly with both hands and pulls. The binding separates with a tearing sound. Pages scatter across the counter. Gasps rise from the onlookers. Martha's eyes widen in shock. Oops, Anna says without remorse. Looks like this fake passport just fell apart. Genuine documents don't do that. Martha's heart pounds as she watches her only international identification destroyed before her eyes. She's stranded now, thousands of miles from home, with no valid travel documents. "Security," Anna calls. "I need assistance with a passenger attempting to travel with fraudulent documentation." Martha's hands tremble slightly, but she reaches for her phone. "I'm recording this," she says quietly. "You've just deliberately destroyed my legitimate passport." Anna shrugs. "Damaged in inspection. Happens sometimes with counterfeit documents. You'll need to take that up with your embassy." She smiles coldly. "Which could take weeks." Martha takes a deep breath, centering herself. The rage inside her transforms into something colder, more focused. She knows exactly what needs to happen next. Martha's eyes lock with Anna's as she makes a decision that will forever alter both their futures. Martha gathers the tattered remains of her passport with deliberate care. Each movement measured, controlled, the opposite of the chaos Anna clearly hopes to provoke. Spectators watch in uncomfortable silence, the injustice palpable in the air. "I'd like to file an official report," Martha states, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. "Not with airline supervisors, but with airport police. Destruction of travel documents is a criminal offense." Anna's smugness falters momentarily. She hadn't expected this calm, strategic response. "You're welcome to try, but you'll miss your flight. And good luck explaining your fake passport to authorities." "I'll take that chance." Martha slips the passport fragments into her bag. Her fingers brush against her phone, her lifeline in this moment. "Security can escort you to the police station," Anna offers with false helpfulness. "It's quite far from this terminal. I'll need to remove you from today's flight manifest, of course." "I'll wait right here while airport police are called," Martha counters. "I believe they have an office in this terminal." A security officer approaches, looking uncertain about the situation. Martha addresses him directly. "I need to step aside for a moment to contact my embassy before filing a police report. Is there a quiet area nearby?" The officer, relieved to have a reasonable request, points to a small waiting area. "Over there, ma'am. Please remain in the terminal." Martha nods, walking with dignity despite the stares. Once seated in the semi-private corner, she pulls out her phone. Her fingers don't dial the embassy. Instead, they tap a contact labeled simply Richard. The call connects after one ring. "Richard, it's Martha. I have a situation." Her voice drops to ensure privacy. "I need your intervention at Frankfurt International, Gate 42. My passport has been deliberately destroyed by one of your employees, flight attendant." She discreetly photographs Anna's name badge across the room. "Anna Weber." The voice on the other end responds immediately, concern evident even through the brief words Martha allows herself to hear. "Yes, I have proof. No, don't reveal my position yet. I want to see how far this goes. This is exactly what our initiative was designed to address." Martha listens, nodding slightly. "Thank you, Richard. And one more thing. I need Captain Davis Richards to meet me at the gate. Immediately." As she ends the call, Martha takes a moment to compose herself. Years of facing boardroom adversaries has taught her the power of strategic patience. Anna Weber believes she's trapped a vulnerable target. She doesn't realize she's awakened a force capable of reshaping the entire airline industry. Martha returns to the gate area, where Anna stands in conversation with two other staff members, occasionally glancing in Martha's direction with barely concealed contempt. Martha retakes her seat, arranging her belongings calmly. She opens her tablet, appearing to work, while actually documenting the incident in precise detail. The timestamps, the witnesses, the exact words exchanged, all evidence for what comes next. The terminal speakers crackle to life. "Attention, please. Captain Davis Richards, please report to Gate 42 immediately. Captain Richards to Gate 42. Anna's head snaps up at the announcement, confusion crossing her features. For the first time since the confrontation began, a flicker of uncertainty crosses Anna's face as she wonders why a captain would be summoned to a gate before boarding. Captain Davis Richards strides through the terminal, his uniform immaculate, his presence commanding immediate respect. Passengers straighten as he approaches Gate 42. At 55, he carries himself with the confidence of a man who's navigated both international airspace and corporate turbulence with equal skill. Anna's expression shifts from confusion to relief. She smooths her uniform and prepares her version of events, assuming the captain's arrival means reinforcement. "Captain Richards," she greets with newfound professionalism. "Thank you for coming. We have a situation with a passenger attempting to travel with fraudulent documentation." The captain's expression remains neutral. "I understand there's an issue with a damaged passport." Martha approaches, extending her hand. "Martha Walker. Thank you for addressing this personally, Captain." Richards shakes her hand, his eyes assessing the situation. "Ms. Walker, I understand there's been an incident. Could you explain what happened?" Before Martha can speak, Anna interjects. "Sir, I identified suspicious alterations in her passport during standard verification. When I examined it closer, the document literally fell apart. Clear evidence of tampering." Martha maintains her composure. "Your flight attendant deliberately tore my passport after questioning my right to fly first class. I have witnesses and partial video of the incident." Anna scoffs. "That's absolutely false. The passport was clearly counterfeit." "Perhaps we should review the security footage," Martha suggests. "Every check-in counter and gate area has surveillance cameras, correct?" Captain Richards nods slowly. "Yes, they do." He speaks into his radio, requesting security footage access. Several passengers step forward now. "I saw what happened," a middle-aged woman states firmly. "The airline employee destroyed her passport intentionally." "I recorded part of it," adds a young man, holding up his phone. "She was treating her differently from everyone else." Anna's confidence wavers. "These passengers don't understand security protocols. I was performing my duties according to airline regulations." Captain Richards observes the gathering crowd, the recording phones, Martha's calm demeanor, and Anna's increasingly defensive posture. His radio buzzes with a message he listens to privately. "Ms. Weber," he says after a moment, his tone shifting subtly. "Ms. Walker, I believe we should continue this discussion somewhere more private. Please follow me to the administrative office." Anna straightens, interpreting this as validation. "Of course, Captain. I can provide a full report on the security concerns that led to this situation." Martha gathers her belongings, noting the subtle change in the captain's demeanor, his increased formality with Anna, the careful distance he now maintains from her. "I believe we should continue this conversation in the office," the captain repeats, checking something on his phone that drains the color from his face. The administrative office sits tucked away from passenger areas, its fluorescent lighting harsh against the gray walls. Captain Richards gestures Martha and Anna to seats on opposite sides of a conference table. His movements have become precise, almost ceremonial. Anna settles in with confidence, arranging her uniform lapels. "I appreciate you taking this security breach seriously, Captain." "I take all incidents aboard my aircraft seriously, Ms. Weber," he responds, his tone carefully neutral. He places his tablet on the table, activating the recording function without comment. "Let's establish the facts." Martha places her damaged passport on the table. "I would like to request emergency travel documentation. My passport was deliberately destroyed during check-in, leaving me stranded in a foreign country." Anna interjects immediately. "Captain, this passenger attempted to board with fraudulent documentation. I followed protocol for suspected forgeries." "Protocol includes destroying travel documents?" Richards asks. "The document disintegrated during inspection," Anna insists. "It was clearly tampered with. I recommend she be banned from flying until proper authorities verify her identity." Captain Richards makes notes with methodical precision. "Ms. Weber, please outline the exact steps you took during document verification, starting from Ms. Walker's arrival at the counter." As Anna recounts her version, Martha observes the captain's increasing formality. Each question he asks becomes more specific, more detailed, documenting rather than resolving. A knock interrupts them. The door opens to reveal a woman in a crisp suit, carrying a laptop. "Captain Richards, I'm Elena Hoffman from Legal. I've joined as requested." Anna's confidence falters. "Legal? I don't understand why legal needs to be involved in a routine security matter." "This is now a documented incident," Richards explains. "Ms. Hoffman will join us to ensure proper procedures are followed." The lawyer opens her laptop, revealing a video conference already in progress. 3 faces appear on screen, one labeled HR Director, another Chief Operations Officer, and a third simply Corporate Security. Anna shifts uncomfortably. "I don't understand what's happening." "Ms. Weber," the HR Director begins, "we've received concerning information regarding this incident. We're reviewing previous passenger complaints that show a troubling pattern." Anna's face drains of color. "What complaints? My record is exemplary. We have 17 documented complaints regarding your conduct toward minority passengers over the past 18 months, the HR Director continues. All marked as resolved without investigation. Captain Richards watches Anna's reaction carefully, while Martha remains silent, allowing the process to unfold. "Ms. Weber, are you aware of our airline's zero-tolerance policy regarding document handling?" the legal representative asks, her voice cutting through the sudden silence. Anna's fingers grip the edge of the conference table. The confident demeanor that served her for 15 years crumbles visibly with each passing second. "Of course I know the policy," she replies, her voice higher than before. "But this was an exceptional circumstance. The passport showed clear signs of tampering." Elena Hoffman slides a tablet across the table. "Please indicate where on this document you observed tampering before you damaged it." Anna stares at the high-resolution photos of Martha's passport taken during check-in. Standard procedure for first-class international travelers. The document appears pristine. "The evidence of tampering became apparent during physical inspection," Anna insists. "Photos don't always reveal subtle alterations." "Then you followed the procedure for suspected fraudulent documents?" Captain Richards asks, his pen poised above his notepad. Anna nods vigorously. "Absolutely." "Which requires," the captain continues, "that suspected fraudulent documents be retained intact and submitted to authorities. Page 47 of the security manual explicitly prohibits damaging or destroying documentation, regardless of suspicion level." Anna's throat works as she swallows. "I may have been overzealous in my inspection. In my defense, this passenger was confrontational from the beginning." Martha, who has remained silent, finally speaks. "I have not raised my voice once during this entire encounter." The HR Director leans forward on the video call. "Ms. Weber, we're reviewing the security footage from the check-in counter and gate area. Would you like to revise any statements before we proceed?" Something in the director's tone causes Anna to hesitate. Her eyes dart between the faces watching her, some curious, others increasingly stern. "Perhaps I was mistaken about the extent of document damage," she concedes reluctantly. "In the interest of passenger safety—" "Let's discuss your history with passenger complaints," the HR Director interrupts. "We've analyzed all complaints filed against gate staff over the past 2 years. You've received significantly more complaints from passengers of color than any other employee." Anna's face flushes. "That's circumstantial. I process more passengers than most staff." "Adjusted for passenger volume," the director continues, "the disparity remains statistically significant." Captain Richards exchanges a glance with Elena. The lawyer nods subtly and presses a button on her laptop. "Before we proceed further," she announces, "I should inform everyone that this meeting is being recorded as part of an official investigation into violation of company policies regarding equal treatment of passengers and handling of travel documentation." Anna's professional facade collapses entirely. "Investigation? I demand union representation. This is beyond a union matter, Ms. Weber. Your actions today have triggered an automatic corporate ethics inquiry, Elena explains as the conference room door opens again. The conference room door swings open to reveal a distinguished man in his 60s. Richard Harmon, CEO of Atlantic Global Airways, enters with the quiet authority of someone who rarely needs to raise his voice to command attention. Anna's mouth falls open in shock. Mr. Harmon? Captain Richards stands immediately. Thank you for joining us. Richard, Martha acknowledges with a slight nod, using his first name casually. Anna's head swivels between them, confusion evident in her expression. The CEO takes a seat at the head of the table. I apologize for the interruption, but when I received word of this incident, I felt it warranted my personal attention. His eyes meet Martha's briefly before addressing the room. Please continue. Elena clears her throat. We were just discussing Ms. Weber's history of passenger complaints and the violation of document handling protocols. Anna straightens, sensing an opportunity. Sir, I've dedicated 15 years to this airline. This passenger was attempting to travel with questionable documentation. I was protecting our company's interests. Richard Harmon studies her for a long moment. Ms. Weber, do you know who this passenger is? A business traveler with documentation issues, Anna replies confidently. I see. The CEO turns to Martha. Perhaps this is the appropriate time for a proper introduction. Martha smooths her blazer as she rises. The room's attention shifts entirely to her. The transformation is subtle but unmistakable. Her posture straightens, her gaze sharpens. The passenger who endured humiliation now radiates executive authority. My name is Martha Walker. I am the Global Operations Director for Skyline International Holdings. Anna's brow furrows, the name not immediately registering. Martha continues. Skyline International acquired a controlling interest in Atlantic Global Airways 8 months ago. I report directly to the Board of Directors. The blood drains from Anna's face as understanding dawns. For the past 6 months, I've been conducting undercover assessments of our subsidiaries' customer service practices, Martha explains, with particular focus on our anti-discrimination initiative across the airline industry. Captain Richards nods knowingly. The HR director on the video screen sits forward with renewed interest. Today's experience, Martha continues, was unfortunately not unique. I've documented 17 incidents of discriminatory treatment during my assessment flights across our network. This is the first time, however, that a staff member has destroyed my travel documents. Anna's voice emerges as barely a whisper. I didn't know. That's precisely the point, Ms. Weber, Martha interrupts. You didn't know who I was, yet you felt entitled to treat me differently based on appearances. That's the definition of discrimination. Richard Harmon addresses Anna directly. When I brought Ms. Walker onto our executive team to lead our operations overhaul, she proposed this undercover assessment. I was skeptical, but she insisted we needed to experience our service as passengers do, particularly those from minority groups. Martha retrieves her tablet and pulls up a document. I've been gathering data on passenger treatment discrepancies across all our airlines. The patterns are troubling. Minority passengers are 3 times more likely to have documents questioned, twice as likely to undergo random security checks, and face significantly longer processing times at counters. Anna stares at the table, her career collapsing before her eyes. What happened today wasn't an isolated incident, Martha continues. It's symptomatic of systemic issues that damage our passengers' dignity and our company's reputation. The difference is, today it happened to someone who can effect change. The room falls silent. Captain Richards glances at the CEO, who nods for him to proceed. Ms. Weber, based on the evidence presented and the severity of your actions, you're being placed on immediate administrative leave pending full investigation, the captain announces formally. Anna's shoulders slump. This is unfair. One mistake. Destroying a passenger's passport isn't a mistake, Richard Harmon states flatly. It's an inexcusable breach of protocol and possibly illegal, Martha turns to the video screen. I want the footage from today's incident, along with my previous documentation, to serve as the foundation for our company-wide retraining program. This isn't about punishing one employee. It's about transforming our culture. The executives on screen nod in agreement. Martha gathers her belongings, including the damaged passport. This incident will be addressed at the highest levels of the company, she states calmly. Captain Richards, I'll need assistance arranging emergency travel documents. And Mr. Harmon, I believe we need to move up the timeline on our industry initiative. This isn't about one employee. It's about a culture that allowed this to happen, Martha tells the room, her voice carrying the weight of transformation to come. The Atlantic Global Airways boardroom sits 60 floors above Manhattan, its floor-to-ceiling windows offering panoramic views of the city. 14 executives occupy the rosewood table, their attention fixed on Martha Walker as she presents the findings from her 6-month undercover assessment. The Frankfurt incident represents our most egregious failure, Martha explains, standing beside a screen displaying security footage from Gate 42. But our data reveals systemic issues across our entire network. Richard Harmon, seated at the head of the table, watches the footage with a grim expression. The video shows Anna Weber deliberately tearing Martha's passport while smirking. Several board members shift uncomfortably in their seats. The legal implications are significant, Elena Hoffman interjects. Destruction of travel documents violates international aviation regulations. We've already received inquiries from German authorities and the International Air Transport Association. The chief marketing officer raises her hand. The footage is circulating on social media. We've detected a 340% increase in negative mentions of our airline in the past 48 hours. What about the employee involved? Asks the HR director, joining remotely from London. Martha clicks to the next slide. Anna Weber has been terminated for violating multiple company policies. However, our investigation revealed troubling patterns beyond her individual case. The slide displays statistical analysis of passenger treatment across Atlantic Global's network. Red bars indicate disproportionate security checks, document scrutiny, and service denials for minority passengers. We've identified 47 employees with statistically significant bias patterns in their passenger interactions, Martha continues. This isn't about a few bad actors, it's about a system that fails to identify and correct these behaviors. The chief financial officer clears his throat. What's our liability exposure here? Elena references her notes. Substantial. Beyond the Frankfurt incident, we've identified 11 cases in the past year that could constitute actionable discrimination. Conservative estimates put potential settlements at $15 million, not counting reputation damage. The boardroom fills with concerned murmurs. Richard Harmon raises his hand for silence. The financial liability matters, but I'm equally concerned about the human cost. Each red bar on that chart represents passengers who trusted us and received inferior treatment because of how they look. Martha nods appreciatively at the CEO's framing. Exactly. This isn't just a legal or PR problem. It's a fundamental failure of our service promise. What do you propose? Asks the chief operations officer. Martha clicks to a new slide titled Skyline Initiative, Systemic Transformation. A comprehensive 5-point plan, she begins. First, immediate revision of our training programs with mandatory bias recognition modules for all customer-facing staff. Second, implementation of a mystery traveler program using diverse assessors to regularly test our service equality. She advances through detailed slides outlining each element of her plan. Third, a complete overhaul of our complaint investigation process. Currently, 78% of discrimination complaints are dismissed without substantive investigation. We'll create an independent review board that reports directly to the executive level. The board members take notes as Martha continues. Fourth, accountability metrics for management. Terminal managers and flight directors will be evaluated partially on equity of passenger treatment. And finally, transparency. We publish our diversity metrics and improvement goals publicly. The chief financial officer looks skeptical. Implementation costs? $22 million in the first year, Martha acknowledges. But compare that to our estimated liability exposure and reputation damage. More importantly, it's an investment in becoming the airline we claim to be in our advertisements. Richard Harmon stands to join Martha. I've reviewed the full proposal. It's bold but necessary. This isn't just about avoiding lawsuits, it's about integrity. When we say we offer world-class service to all passengers, we need to mean all passengers. The General Counsel raises a practical concern. What about the immediate Frankfurt situation? The passenger videos are gaining traction. We get ahead of it, Martha suggests. Instead of the usual corporate damage control, we acknowledge the failure, outline our response, and announce the initiative. We position this as a catalyst for industry-wide change. Debate erupts around the table. Some executives favor traditional crisis management. Minimize exposure, settle quietly, move on. Others align with Martha's transparent approach. After 30 minutes of discussion, Richard calls for a decision. We hired Martha to transform our operations. Her assessment has uncovered uncomfortable truths, but now we have a choice. Address the symptoms or cure the disease. The vote passes with a 3/4 majority. Martha's initiative receives full funding and executive support. As the meeting concludes, Martha presents one final slide. The Frankfurt incident highlighted our weaknesses, but our response will define our character. Atlantic Global can lead industry-wide reform or be dragged into it by regulators after the next incident goes viral. The aftermath unfolds rapidly across the following weeks. Anna Weber receives formal termination papers, along with notification that the airline has referred the passport destruction to German authorities for potential criminal charges. She hires an attorney, claiming she followed unwritten protocols that were common practice. Her defense crumbles when 17 current and former employees provide statements confirming that minority passengers frequently received enhanced scrutiny without justification. The airline's own data supports these claims. Martha's comprehensive assessment provides irrefutable evidence. Atlantic Global's legal team negotiates settlements with previously dismissed discrimination complainants. The costs are substantial but contained through Martha's insistence on coupling financial compensation with commitments to improved service. In the corporate headquarters, Martha assembles a specialized team to implement the Skyline initiative. Training modules are developed with input from diversity experts and civil rights organizations. The Mystery Traveler program recruits assessors representing various ethnicities, religions, and backgrounds. Terminal managers initially resist the new accountability metrics, arguing they shouldn't be responsible for individual employee behavior. Martha meets this resistance directly in a global management call. If you can't ensure equal treatment of all passengers under your supervision, you're in the wrong position, she states firmly. This isn't a social justice campaign, it's basic customer service competence. The media catches wind of Atlantic Global's internal transformation. Initial coverage focuses on the Frankfurt incident, with viral videos of Anna Weber destroying Martha's passport generating millions of views. Public opinion splits predictably. Many express outrage while others defend the need for thorough security. Martha and Richard make a strategic decision to grant a single in-depth interview to a respected business publication. They detail the incident briefly before pivoting to the broader initiative. Rather than portraying themselves as corporate saviors, they acknowledge the airline's failures and outline concrete steps toward improvement. We're not asking for praise for fixing what should never have been broken, Martha explains in the interview. Equal treatment isn't extraordinary service. It's the baseline expectation. 60 days after the Frankfurt incident, Atlantic Global publishes its first passenger treatment metrics dashboard publicly, an unprecedented move in the industry. The data shows troubling disparities, but also establishes a baseline for measuring improvement. Competitors watch with interest, some dismissing the initiative as virtue signaling, while others recognize the shifting landscape. Two major airlines quietly launch their own internal assessments, recognizing that similar incidents could easily occur on their flights. In the quarterly earnings call, Richard addresses investor concerns about the initiative's costs. This investment strengthens our core product. When we promise world-class service to all passengers, all means exactly that. Martha walks through the Frankfurt terminal 3 months after the incident. The same gate area where her passport was destroyed now features subtle but meaningful changes. New signage clearly outlines passengers' rights and complaint procedures. Staff undergo enhanced training. Most importantly, a quality assurance observer discreetly monitors check-in interactions, data tablet in hand. A text message arrives from Richard. Board approved full implementation across all subsidiaries. Your transformation is becoming reality. The next phase goes beyond our own airlines, Martha thinks as she boards her flight home, already drafting proposals to extend the initiative across the industry's shared systems and standards. Anna Weber sits rigidly in the Atlantic Global Airways disciplinary hearing room. Her once pristine uniform has been replaced by a conservative gray suit that fails to project the authority she once wielded. Across from her sits a panel of 5: HR director, legal counsel, employee relations manager, a union representative, and an independent adjudicator. This formal hearing will determine the final disposition of employment and potential further actions regarding the incident at Frankfurt International Airport, the adjudicator announces, his voice neutral but firm. Anna's attorney places a supportive hand on her arm. They've prepared extensively, constructing a defense around security protocols and split-second decisions required in airline operations. Ms. Weber has served this airline faithfully for 15 years, her attorney begins. Her record shows dedication to passenger safety and security compliance. The incident in question represents an unfortunate miscommunication, not misconduct. Elena Hoffman, representing Atlantic Global's legal department, activates the presentation screen. We'll review the evidence chronologically, she states, beginning with check-in counter footage showing differential treatment of passengers based on appearance. The screen displays side-by-side comparisons. Martha's extended document check versus the cursory glance given to other passengers with similar documentation. Timestamps confirm Martha spent 8 times longer in processing. This pattern extends beyond the Frankfurt incident, Elena continues. She displays a data analysis of Anna's passenger interactions over 2 years. Red clusters highlight disproportionate security flags and document challenges for minority travelers. Anna leans toward her attorney, whispering urgently. He raises his hand. This historical data wasn't included in the hearing notification. We object to its introduction without proper review time. The data was provided in your disclosure packet, the adjudicator responds, checking his notes. Page 47, Appendix C. Anna's confident facade cracks slightly. She hadn't read the entire packet, assuming it contained standard procedural information. The hearing progresses methodically through the escalating incidents, the gate confrontation, the public humiliation, and finally, the passport destruction captured from 3 camera angles. Ms. Weber, the HR director addresses her directly, in your initial statement you claimed the passport fell apart during inspection, suggesting manufacturing defects. This footage clearly shows deliberate tearing. How do you reconcile these contradictions? Anna shifts uncomfortably. The camera angle is misleading. I was examining the binding where I noticed tampering. We've had the passport fragments analyzed by document experts, Elena interjects. Their report confirms the document was authentic and the damage resulted from applied force, not from manufacturing defects or tampering. The union representative, who has remained silent until now, reviews the expert report with a frown. His presence, initially a comfort to Anna, increasingly feels ceremonial as the evidence mounts. Let's address the 17 previous complaints, the employee relations manager continues. In each case, your supervisor dismissed these without investigation. That supervisor has also been terminated for failure to uphold company standards. Anna's attorney attempts to redirect. My client followed her training and the example set by management. If protocols were flawed, that's a systemic issue, not individual misconduct. We agree there were systemic failures, the HR director acknowledges. However, Ms. Weber's actions went far beyond procedural problems. Destruction of travel documents isn't taught in any training module. The adjudicator turns to Anna directly. Ms. Weber, this panel acknowledges the systemic issues being addressed company-wide. However, your specific actions require individual accountability. Do you wish to make a final statement before we deliberate? Anna rises slowly, her hands slightly trembling. I've dedicated my career to this airline. I've made difficult decisions to protect our passengers and reputation. If I've made mistakes in judgment, they were made with sincere intention to uphold security. She pauses, scanning the impassive faces before her. The comprehensive evidence has left little room for defense. I request that my years of service be considered in your decision. The panel deliberates for 27 minutes before delivering their unanimous decision: termination for violating company policies, destruction of legal documents, and discriminatory treatment of passengers. Additionally, the airline will not contest her unemployment claim, but will cooperate fully with any criminal investigation by German authorities. As Anna gathers her belongings, the HR director delivers a final statement. Ms. Weber, you're not just losing your job today. Your actions have initiated something much bigger. Atlantic Global has implemented industry-leading anti-discrimination protocols because of this incident. The union representative who once defended similar cases without question now watches silently, knowing the evidence would make his usual passionate defense impossible and potentially career-ending. Martha Walker stands at the podium of the International Aviation Conference in Singapore, 6 months after the Frankfurt incident. Behind her, a digital display shows the Atlantic Global Airways transformation metrics: 100% staff completion of enhanced training, 47% reduction in biased passenger treatment incidents, and the introduction of the industry's first independent passenger advocacy office. What began as a personal humiliation has evolved into an industry-wide examination of how we treat all passengers, Martha explains to the audience of airline executives, regulatory officials, and industry leaders. The Skyline Initiative isn't just about Atlantic Global, it's about redefining the passenger experience across global aviation. In the front row, Richard Harmon nods approvingly. Beside him sit representatives from the International Air Transport Association and the Federal Aviation Administration, both now partnering with Atlantic Global on standardized equality protocols. The conference hall screens display testimonials from passengers describing transformed experiences. One woman recounts how a check-in agent noticed her anxiety during document verification and proactively offered a private screening area instead of public scrutiny. Our Mystery Traveler program now includes assessors from 27 countries representing diverse backgrounds, Martha continues. These trained observers experience our service as passengers do, providing unfiltered feedback that bypasses traditional reporting hierarchies. A slideshow displays the new training modules being implemented across Atlantic Global's network: unconscious bias recognition, cultural sensitivity, and standardized document verification procedures that eliminate subjective assessments. The financial results speak for themselves, Martha notes, revealing the next slide. Customer satisfaction scores among minority passengers have increased 32% since implementation. More significantly, our overall ratings have improved across all passenger demographics. Beyond Atlantic Global's internal changes, the industry itself has begun shifting. 3 major competing airlines have announced similar initiatives. 2 countries have updated their aviation regulations to require bias prevention training for all airport staff. The Frankfurt airport, where Martha's passport was destroyed, now displays passenger rights prominently in 12 languages. Captain Davis Richards, now promoted to Director of Training, leads workshops for flight crews focusing on intervention strategies when witnessing discriminatory treatment. His curriculum uses real incidents, including the Frankfurt case, as learning tools. The most significant change isn't in our policies or procedures, Martha emphasizes, nearing her conclusion. It's in our metrics. We now track equal treatment as rigorously as we track on-time departures and baggage handling. What gets measured gets improved. In the audience, several executives take notes. Others shift uncomfortably, recognizing similar vulnerabilities in their own operations. A few tap urgently on tablets, messaging their teams to assess their exposure to similar incidents. The conference organizer joins Martha on stage. Atlantic Global Airways has been selected to lead the industry task force on passenger equality standards. This marks the first time such standards will be implemented globally. Martha accepts the appointment with appropriate gravity. 6 months ago, I stood in an airport watching my passport being deliberately destroyed. Today, we're building safeguards to ensure no passenger experiences such treatment again. As the presentation concludes, Richard joins Martha backstage. The Frankfurt incident could have been handled like any other PR crisis. Contained, settled, forgotten. Instead, you've leveraged it into transformation. Martha smiles slightly. True change rarely comes from comfort. Sometimes systems need a shock to evolve. 6 months after the incident that went viral, the airline industry is experiencing a significant shift in how it handles diversity and inclusion, with companies rushing to implement reforms before becoming the next cautionary tale. 1 year later, Martha Walker approaches the check-in counter at Frankfurt International Airport. The terminal has transformed in subtle but meaningful ways. Digital displays now feature diverse travelers in all cabin classes. Signage clearly outlines passenger rights in multiple languages. Most significantly, a QR code for direct complaint reporting appears on every counter, bypassing traditional hierarchies. Martha observes the check-in process with professional interest. The agent efficiently processes a family with Saudi Arabian passports, maintaining the same courteous demeanor she shows to the European business traveler that follows. No additional scrutiny, no lingering document checks, just consistent, respectful service. Martha steps forward, presenting her passport and first-class ticket. The agent, a young woman whose name badge includes 3 language proficiency symbols, smiles professionally. Good morning, Ms. Walker. Frankfurt to New York today? Yes, thank you. The agent processes her documents with practiced efficiency. I see you're one of our platinum members. Thank you for your loyalty. No suspicion, no extra scrutiny, no comments about her status or appearance, just professional service delivered equally to all passengers. As Martha proceeds toward security, she notices a familiar face, Captain Davis Richards, now training director, observing operations with a tablet in hand. He spots Martha and approaches with a warm smile. Ms. Walker, good to see you again. Returning to New York? Yes, just completed our European Leadership Summit, Martha replies. How's the new training program implementation proceeding? Richards gestures toward the terminal. 17,000 staff trained across our network. Passenger complaints about discriminatory treatment down 73%. And the mystery traveler program you designed has been adopted by the International Air Transport Association as an industry standard. They walk together toward the security area where passengers move through screening with efficient respect. And Anna Weber? Martha asks quietly. Richards shakes his head. After termination, she filed a wrongful dismissal suit claiming discriminatory treatment. Ironic, given the circumstances. The case was dismissed when our evidence proved overwhelming. Last I heard, she's working in retail, nowhere near an airport. Martha nods, not taking pleasure in the outcome but acknowledging the necessary consequence. The most significant change, Richards continues, is in our internal reporting. Staff now intervene when they witness problematic behavior rather than remaining silent. The bystander effect that enabled past incidents has largely dissolved. They pause at the security checkpoint entrance. I never thanked you properly, Richards says. Your experience was humiliating and unjust, but your response transformed not just our airline, but potentially the industry. Martha smiles slightly. Systems rarely change without catalyst events. I'm just glad mine could serve a greater purpose. As she proceeds through security, treated with the same professional courtesy as every other passenger, Martha reflects on the year's progress. The Skyline initiative has expanded beyond Atlantic Global to become an industry benchmark. 3 countries have implemented new aviation regulations based on their framework. Most importantly, thousands of passengers now travel without facing the humiliation she experienced. Her phone buzzes with a message from Richard Harmon. Board-approved global expansion of initiative. Next target, hotel industry partnerships. Your vision is becoming reality. Martha tucks away her phone as she approaches Gate 42, the same gate where her passport was destroyed a year earlier. The space feels different now. The staff move with the same efficiency but show a new awareness in their interactions with diverse passengers. A quality assurance observer discreetly monitors operations, data tablet in hand. Would you have handled this situation differently? Let us know your thoughts. As Martha boards her flight home, she reflects on the journey from victim to catalyst. The system that once humiliated her now bears the imprint of her response. Not anger or vengeance, but strategic, systemic change. True power isn't shown in how you treat others when you're angry, but in how you transform systems when you have the chance. What began as one woman's humiliation has sparked changes benefiting millions of travelers. 27 airlines have now adopted similar protocols. 8 countries have updated their aviation regulations to require bias prevention training. Perhaps the most significant change isn't visible in statistics or policies, but in the daily experience of travelers who never know they've been spared the humiliation Martha once faced, because the system now prevents it from happening. When confronted with injustice, we all face a choice. Accept it, fight it individually, or transform the system that enables it. Martha chose transformation, turning personal humiliation into industry-wide reform. If you found value in Martha's story of transformation and justice, please take a moment to like this video. Your engagement helps these important stories reach more viewers who need to hear them. Haven't subscribed to Beat Stories yet? Hit that subscribe button and notification bell right now. We bring you powerful, true stories of justice, transformation, and systemic change every week. Stories that don't just entertain but inspire real action.